Good evening, all. Welcome to the Cheese Room podcast. I'm the caller, live and direct, like Stormzy or whoever it was who said that, in the man cave. And I'm joined by some fantastic guests previewing the biggest game of the season since the last biggest game of the season, the North London Derby, of course. Joining me, and let's go around the room, we have Davo, all the way from Australia. How are you, Davo? It looks very sunny where you are.
Well, it is under the blinds. I'm just trying to sort out my awful lighting. Really pleased to be here tonight, and genuinely very pleased to be on the show at last with Stephen, who is one of my favourite Gooners. He's not my favourite Gooner. My mum is a Gooner, and she did give me life. She did give me life, so I have to say that, right?
I'll take top two. I'll take that.
Yeah. You're in
as
there,
an Arsenal fan, as an Arsenal fan,
Nice.
we're used to settling for top four. So top two is great. Frankly, no, thanks for
quite make it last season, though, did you?
No, or the year before that, but you know, this year's going to slightly different.
Hi, Stephen. It's good to have you back.
No, thanks for having me on. As always, like I said, it's always a joy coming on here and being able to have an intelligent, articulate chat about football. Never mind, it's Tottenham Arsenal. It's just, you know, it's one of those situations. We'll see. He's already showing off the fact that he's got sunlight compared to, you know, me and my miserable Irish basement here, and everyone else at 9 p.m. He's there with sunlight. It's like it's almost not fair as it is. But no, like I say, it's nice to come on and have a chat about football instead of, you know, disintegrating into quote unquote banter and, you know, all that. You know, let's do a combined 11. Let's talk proper football.
That's actually, but you know. Yeah, but I'll skip that bit on the run sheet. Look. Tonight it's always good, and it's great to have Jack on. Jack, 11th hour substitution, tagged in. The Irish Hotspur was supposed to be on, but he's not feeling so good. So welcome, Jack. Pleased to have you on the show as ever, my friend.
Yeah, filling in for my more confident and more Irish counterpart this time around. But we'll see what I can do. We'll see what I can muster. But yeah, good to be here. Good to be back. I think I might have been back last week as well. So making my returns after missing out for a few weeks. So kind of getting back to training with the Cheese Room.
I think the first thing we should probably cover is you've got a guest down under, haven't you, Dave? Here he is, Diver the Fiver. And what kind of animal is that? The kangaroo?
I don't know. It just looks all very dodgy, doesn't it? It's not caused as big a animal controversy in Australia since Johnny Depp and Amber.
Sat on it.
Yeah, since Johnny Depp and Amber Heard brought their dog in illegally. So I'm catching up with him on Monday night in Sydney, and the boys will be meeting him as well, and then we'll all be in therapy the next day.
And John wants a caption contest for this. So, yeah, let us know in the chat what you think. What would your caption for that be? ENIC out, hello. Don't forget to smash the like button while you're here.
Yeah, that's the first. That's the first caption for this. Leave you out, ENIC out for this. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. I mean, if we talk about it anymore, I'm going to have to start waving a banner at games and take black balloons along or something because, you know, I think it's been on every show recently. But there you go. That's what the people are talking about. Interestingly, I'm running a poll on, and we can come on to this later in the show once we've actually talked about something relevant, i.e. the football. But last July, I think it was, I ran a poll, Levy in or Levy out, and I think it was like an overwhelming majority of people, something like 70% said Levy. And the same poll is not doing the same sort of business now. It is, I think, 60% Levy out. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting whichever way you cut it. It's interesting to see what the certainly the fans on Twitter, which isn't necessarily a representative demographic, but it's interesting to see what people are thinking. So we'll absolutely chat about that later, and maybe you can give us the Gooner perspective, Stephen, on it.
We'll do.
Hold that thought. There we go. So first things first, there is a match at the weekend. I'll be there. Hopefully, lots of you in the chat will be going there. Do let us know if you're there, and if I see you, I'll buy you a beer.
That's one. No, that's not one beer. He's going to buy one beer. You got to share it. He's like, he didn't say
Oh
each.
yeah, one between.
It's
I'll
one
provide
beer.
straws. Of course, I'll provide straws for this momentous occasion. You know, I haven't got that deeper pockets. 4:30 kickoff Sunday. Arsenal, as we know, unfortunately top of the league, but they've taken just 2 points from their last 8 Premier Leagues to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Did you know that, Stephen?
Yeah, it's not been a happy hunting ground of late.
Yeah.
But it's been, what, it's 6 years, 7, like, since we finished ahead of you. So, like, it's only bound to be in reason that, you know, going to a place of a team that's finished ahead of us is going to be tricky. You know, we've been in transition for so long. Frankly, I don't think much is going to change Sunday. It's still going to be a hard game. Like, even if Tottenham were in bad form and Arsenal in great form, it's always going to be Tottenham Arsenal. You're always going to be able to throw form out the window and other cliches. And Arsenal, they're still getting used to the fact that they don't have Gabriel Jesus. And, you know, Eddie Nketiah against 3 centre backs. You know, like, it's going to be one of those games where I think a lot of brick walls are going to be run into by a lot of Arsenal players, and it's whether Tottenham can take advantage of that and go on the front foot and try and take advantage of Arsenal pushing so many people forward. Because if they do, they've got a great chance of winning.
Well, we'll move on to that, Steve. We'll move on to it. I just want to go with histrionics and an attempt to make everyone feel a little bit better for a second. You've only had 1 win since 2007, 2014. Thomas Rosicky scored. That's how long ago we're talking. And of course, last season we won 3-0. Rob Holding was booked twice in the first 7 minutes.
Yep. For talking to the referee too much.
Been booked 4 times during the game.
Yeah.
My question is, Stephen, did you bottle that game?
No. Bottled the Newcastle one after it.
I can't hear you, Steve. Oh, there you go. There it is.
Yeah. Try there now. Yeah, they didn't bottle that one. That one, you know, we just got outplayed by a better side. They bottled the Newcastle one. That's the one they bottled. Where they turned up and they thought, right, if we play the same way as we did against Spurs, we'll get something. And nope. That was the one where the heads went. And it might have been one where it convinced Mikel Arteta to go, right, okay, I'm buying half a new team. You know, this side doesn't have the mentality to deal with Tottenham and Newcastle away in 4 days. So out. I want to win titles. I want to win championships. I'm not going to deal with a side that can't handle stress like that. And out he went. And he got rid of half midfield. Buys in a couple of lads from Manchester City who've won numerous leagues. And goes, right, that's it. End of. I'm not just buying players. I'm buying people. I'm buying commitment. I'm buying character. And it's worked. You know, like, they're a new side. They're a completely new side, to the point where the FA are going, shut up, you little mouthy bastards. We're sick of you. You know, stop going to the referee every time you get foul going against you.
You
know, and like this, what I'll say about this is that are Arsenal running up with the referee at every opportunity? Yes. Is everyone? Yes. Everyone does this. Everyone. Conte got sent off 3 months ago for it.
Is it maybe a pick and choose sort of? Like, is it maybe certain teams do it in one game, but then they might not do it for a few games, whereas Arsenal have been maybe more consistent with it, that they develop that reputation? We're
not very subtle at it, and that's the problem. It's when someone does it on the sly the first time. It's like someone like does something on the sly, and they get away with it, and the lad who it happens to just turns around and goes, and very unsubtly clouts him around the head. It's like, why did you hit him? It's like, well, he started it. It's just, no, he didn't. Or he said, you know, like like City are brilliant at it. Like Pep Guardiola has mastered, like, never mind the footballing side of what he's done for, you know, 3-2-5s and playing 5 up front and centre backs at fullback and fullbacks at front and etc. His ability to kill a game stone dead when the opposition have the ball is unparalleled. You know, whether it's stopping the ball at halfway line, knocking lads out of the way, running up to the ref, kicking balls away, standing in front of the ball when a free kick's going to be taken. All the little dark arts, all the little shithousery moves have been perfected by City and Bayern Munich and Barcelona over the years because they do both sides of it. And Arsenal have always had a reputation of almost being too good. On the, you know, like when Wenger's like, we're going to try and walk the ball through, we're going to play the right way, blah, 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 blah. But as soon as Arsenal start standing up for themselves, it's like, oh my God, they're kicking people. It's like, well, everyone's doing it to us, and now we're doing it back, and it's like, good, you should be charged for it. It's like, yeah, but you should be charged for it when you were doing it to us the first time. Like, there are ways of doing it. There are ways of kicking Arsenal, and it's fine. United were brilliant at it. Stoke and Birmingham City, not so much. So it's levels. I don't think, should Arsenal be charged for the Newcastle one? Yeah, probably. I mean, Mikel Arteta was almost doing a Jose Mourinho trying to get a penalty.
He's a dickhead. He's a dickhead. I'm sorry. I really want your best Mikel and Arteta impression, because he's like, guys.
I can't. Not with this hair. Like, I'm not
made of Lego,
no. But I do find it hilarious that Richard Keys, of all people, is criticizing people for behavior at the workplace. Like there are people who are allowed to say that you're acting out of character. Him, no, mate, no, you need to pipe down. But the Oxford one is a laugh. The Oxford one, it's clearly handball, and they haven't even gone to the referee. The referee's standing there, and 4 Arsenal lads are there, almost like a cricket umpire. They go, how's that? And and he said no, and he's like, well, okay, and they've walked off. Like, it's 2 seconds. So it's levels, but if they're going to charge Arsenal for that, fine. But if they are going to charge Arsenal for that, then they need to start charging a lot more teams for it too.
I mean, my take on Arsenal this season is you're a couple of injuries away from problems, I think, and it'd be interesting to see. I think it'd be interesting to see how you cope at the North London derby, because it's not only Spurs' biggest game of the season; it's definitely Arsenal's. It's the first time you're going to be going into a really hostile atmosphere, and where you cracked last season, to be fair, and the pressure got to the Arsenal players. So it'll be very interesting to see how they cope with it. Not very well, I hope, and I suspect, Jack, you're of similar thought process.
Yeah. I think this will be certainly a special atmosphere, but I might be slightly complimentary of sort of the Arsenal this season, where I do think they have had some pressure situations this season, and they have gotten out of it with usually what they wanted. And whether it be from VAR that has helped them out, or even just their own sheer sort of composure, they've been able to kind of get out of games. And I sort of even agree with Antonio Conte that they are kind of deservedly at the top at this moment, and they definitely had to get through some tough games in order to do so. I would say, like, it definitely, when you look at their fixture schedule versus ours, Collar, you look at the difficult January period that we have now, the very difficult October period that we had, where we were just being given really difficult game after really difficult game. You sort of kind of are jealous of maybe the fixture period that Arsenal kind of were given this sort of season, and you're also kind of maybe jealous of the lack of injuries that they've had. But I might be complimentary enough to just say that I think they've been given some challenges, and they've survived them, and kind of shown that they do have maybe a bit more grit than what they did last season, especially. But like you said, it's a very, very, very big game for Spurs, and I anticipate that will be probably maybe creating an atmosphere maybe much more special than they've ever had before. And also, just knowing how much we have riding on this game, I think this could maybe be a bit too much for them. Hopefully, especially the players maybe know that, because this could be a huge momentum changer for us. And it also could be maybe the catalyst of a certain slip up with Arsenal, because us Spurs fans keep predicting that they're going to slip up at some stage. So maybe this might be the catalyst for it.
Dave, what's your view on it all? Arsenal, are you impressed with them this season?
Yeah, I've been impressed with them this season. And I think psychologically, and I'm hearing it a little bit now from you guys, is that we're all going, but the Goons are going to slip up now, or the Goons are going to slip up now. I think mentally they're stronger. They've improved on results that they've done last year where they've slipped up. They really have, and I think they're showing a stronger mentality. And I think it's a little bit of desperation on our behalf when we're going, but wait till this happens and wait till that happens. I think they're definitely stronger this year. On the one hand, Pep is going to sell. You look at who's Pep sold this summer, and the 2 guys that he sold to the Goons and Sterling that he sold to Chelsea. We know that who's having a much better season. It's the 2 guys at Arsenal. Obviously, Jesus is injured now, and Sterling's had a bit of a shocker at Chelsea, and they're really struggling, which we'll get onto in a moment. But I think the stat was no team's been 7 points clear on New Year's Day and not won the Premier League. So we're going to see what happens. And City, for all the talk about Haaland, who's a phenomenon, their defence has looked less good this season think that we are basically, if Arsenal don't finish above us this season, I mean, that's a cataclysmic collapse. They are going to finish above us for the first time in about 6 or 7 years. And finished above them. I can't believe how crap we've been, and we still finished above them. And then the other thing that we're clinging on to, they get distracted by the Europa. They'll bin off the Europa as soon as they think it gets a bit difficult to impede getting top 4 or winning the league. Why? The Europa gets them Champions League. They've got Champions League. They're going to have a massive collapse. So I think they've been impressive this season. Do I like it? No. But there you go.
I think
do you think you'll be off to Europa?
Oh yeah, they're absolutely. If it's the case, like the whole point of getting out of the Europa is to do one thing, that's to win it so they can get into the Champions League. So if Arsenal are second and they've got a quarter-final against Barcelona, because Barcelona Manchester United in the first round of the Europa League knockouts, which is hilarious. But like if you put Barcelona in that and you've got Liverpool away on the following Thursday, you're not putting out the full team against Barcelona. You're just not. As much as Arsenal are, as much as we are looking forward at the table and going, well, we're 5 points clear there, we're 10 points clear there. Fourth, first was not on the plan on the 5-year plan this year. Champions League football was, and if we can guarantee that by throwing the Europa League, happy days, it's gone. So it's one of those ones where it's like, we're not that confident of winning the league, just because I don't think even we believe that we're top of the league by 5 points. I wouldn't even say that we're the best team in the league right now. I would still say City. If you're going to pick one team out of this league to beat anyone in the world, it wouldn't be Arsenal, it would be City. But because City have had drops in form, Arsenal are there. It's just a case of how many more drops in form can teams below Arsenal keep having, so that when Arsenal do have their drop in form, it's just a case of, well, maybe everyone else has a drop in form as well, and Arsenal are still 5 points clear, and they win by default. It's like that. I was saying in the chat there, like, nobody expected Leicester to lose. Well, Arsenal and Tottenham were ahead of Leicester at Valentine's Day, and then Leicester's next 11 games, won 10, drew 1, conceded 1 goal. That's champions winning title form. So who's going to go on that run? I don't think it'll be us. I don't think it'll be E. But you look at City playing Southampton last night and being abject. You look at Chelsea and Liverpool and you're laughing. You look at United, who were boring as all hell. Like, then it becomes less of a case of who's better than Arsenal. But it's like, well, Arsenal have a lead. Who's going to catch them? Mm-hmm. And then you start talking yourself into it. So like, it might be a case of Arsenal not going to Tottenham and winning on Sunday. But then the next game is United at home. And if they beat United at home, then the momentum starts again. Tottenham could thrash Arsenal on Sunday and then lose 5-0 to City on the following Thursday, and the momentum's gone, and we're all back at square one.
We never lose away to City. It's not on the cards. He says, knowing we'll get spanked more than likely. I mean, your signings have worked out very well. To be honest, I'm amazed Zinchenko's done any good, because I think he's a bit shit, if I'm being really honest. And Jesus has, he's not been a revelation, but he's been a link player, hasn't he? More than anything, yeah. I think he's not necessarily bang goals in, but they've worked out pretty well. So it turns out that actually you spent money pretty wisely, despite all of us, saying what a waste of money in the summer.
It's buying to a plan. It's what you haven't done for 10 years. It's it's like, what do we need? Well, we need a left back, but could also play midfield because we want a lad that links in the two. City have had a lad who's done that for 5 years. He's a gooner. He wants to play for the Arsenal. We'll buy him. We need a striker. Well, we kind of need a striker, but we also need someone that will run. Okay, well, that rules out Lacazette. Maybe we can get Jesus because they've just bought Haaland. Oh, we can. And then it's just buying players for a system and buying players for a tactic. And it sounds simple, but the amount of clubs I've got, like, look at Chelsea, who literally cannot sell Aubameyang to Barcelona, because Barcelona is the only team in Europe who can now buy Aubameyang back off Chelsea because of UEFA's rule of you can only play for 2 teams in a calendar year. Like, it's an absolute farce what some clubs will do to get themselves tied up in knots. And you're in this kind of the same problem where you've got Antonio Conte still playing with Jose Mourinho's, not cast-offs, but Jose Mourinho and, to an extent, Pochettino's side of 6 years ago, where it's the same goalkeeper, the same centre back, some of the same midfield, the same left winger, the same captain, the same striker. You know, like it's still the same team that kind of that not can't win, but hasn't won. And you're expecting another manager to come in and change it, and yet not build anything around it either. And it's like,
I think that's a touch unfair. I mean, we've added quite a lot of players, and not all of them have worked out. But you know, you've got Romero, Kulusevski, Bentancur, you know, to name but three. Plenty more that haven't worked out, like Bissouma, etc., etc., etc. So I think we are changing, but not quick enough for some. And obviously, the fact that the Gooners are top of the league, of course, adds to the ENIC out movement. So there is a bit of a feeling of discontent amongst the Spurs fans, despite being in a relatively decent league position, and obviously in the last 16 of the Champions League. So it's an interesting conundrum. My question is for you, Stephen, that obviously there was a big Kroenke out, or was it the Crankets movement not so long ago?
It was as funny. No.
Yeah. But I mean, you look. Are there parallels with where you see Spurs are at? And while you're explaining that, I'm going to go get a beer.
That's where you can get me one. Parallels. So Kroenke has really been only in charge since 2018. Like, he's been majority owner for 10 years, but he hasn't had proper, like, when he put his son in charge, Josh, in 2018, that's when it was purely a Kroenke Sports enterprise company. In the same way the Los Angeles Rams are, the same way the Colorado Avalanche are, the same way the Denver Nuggets are, etc., etc. And for years, those teams have been awful. Every one of them. And we were looking at it going, oh no, here we go again. You know, he's putting in his son, oh yeah, I'll run it and everything will be grand. And first thing they did was, you know, just bring in basically a board around Arsene Wenger and go, right, they're going to do all your work, you just focus on your tactics. And Wenger went, nah, I'd rather retire, lads, to be honest. And off he went. And then you're stuck with, you know, chief executives who want to be owners. You're stuck with, you know, scouts who want to be directors of football. Then that ends up with Raul Sanlehi who wants to spend so much money that it ends up with installments. And it's just an utter clusterfuck. And then in all of that, you decide, right, okay, we're going to hire Mikel Arteta and then bottle it at the last moment and get in Unai Emery. And then you just waste 18 months. And you've got that underneath. So you've got all that bubbling under. And then, as it says in the chat, Super League hits. And that day, and like you just had this perfect storm of Arsenal not playing good football early under Arteta when it was 5 at the back and it was low block and it was just trying to, you know, figure out where he lied. Football wasn't great. People couldn't go to the games. And then this ultimate money grab, this ultimate sense of fuck the league, fuck the fans, fuck everything. We're going to play Benfica on a Thursday night because it'll make us an extra $1 million. And the Arsenal fans just went, no, out, go, off, fuck off you go. If that's what you're going to do, off you go. And I think they learned from it. I genuinely think they went, maybe there's a different way of doing this. And since then, they've been more engaged with the fans. They've had fan forums every 3 months. The new artwork on the Emirates looks great. It'll be unveiled for the United game next week. The Emirates now is never going to look as good as your Palace because, of course, it can't. I'm going to say this now while Caller's gone because he'll call it antiquated when any chance he gets. But it looks decent. There seems to be a chat. And most importantly, they've backed the manager. They've gone to the manager and they've gone, right, what do you need? And they haven't changed him after 6 months, and they haven't gone for another lad after a year. And they've made sure that the manager has come out and justified his own selections and gone, right, you do this, we do that. And look, it's easy to say it's working now because Arsenal are top of the league. But this time last year, the Arteta out movement was in full flow. They'd won 1 game in December. We were 9th.
Yeah.
And the idea that we would be top of the league 5-7 points clear playing not the best football in the league, but pretty close to it, we'd be saying, here, pass that round. You're having too much of that. Keep passing it around. And it's one of those situations now where it's like, well, okay, they've bought in, but they did spend big money on Jesus, big money on Zinchenko. A backup striker and a backup left back from the team that just won the league. Players to come in and fill roles. 30 million of Fabio Vieira, who's going to be a backup for at least another year and a bit. Players like that come in and fill a role so that the team can play the way that Arteta wants them to play. But then you also make sure that the manager goes out and says, "Oh, excuse me, my owners are brilliant. My owners are backing me. My owners are giving me what I want." And the difference between that and what's happening at your place right now is chalk and cheese. Because everyone in our place is going, right, okay, this is what we're doing. This is the plan. How many plans are going right now in Tottenham? Because it seems like there's three. There's the one that the fans want, the one that Conte wants, and the one that Danny Levy wants. And none of them are any way, shape, or form intertwined or interconnected. The fans want titles now because they've been waiting for 20 years and they're asked to pay a fortune to sit in the seats. You've got Conte, who are almost treating you almost acting like a bad boyfriend. Like, this is like almost relationship abuse, where it's like, well, if you don't do what I want, I'm off. If that was a friend of mine, a female friend of mine, and he was treating her like Conte's treating me, here, leave her alone. It's almost like it is verging on domestic abuse. That anytime something goes wrong, if you don't do what I do, I'm off. Like, you can't say that. You're there 14 months. Yeah, I know you've won 2 leagues in a row. Well done. Fair play. But the idea that Tottenham are bending over for him is a little bit... I can't see why, when he is giving you some of the worst football you've ever seen at the Lane.
Yeah, but what you're saying there, there's a lot to unpack, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah, so what you're saying there, Stephen, there's a lot to unpack, because I think, so if you start off the European Super League, I think that the reaction to the European Super League by domestic fans, if there was a crowd base that a smaller minority weren't happy with the owners, it brought out into the mainstream of the fan base that they're really unhappy with the owners. So, for example, with Levy and ENIC, who I've been banging on about that I don't like for years, at that time, the European Super League, a lot of people that I knew who are Spurs fans turned around to me and said, "Oh, I think you were right all along." And it took the Super League to do that, right?
Can I just say, just from an art of purity, if a Super League happened and Tottenham got in, that would be Levy's greatest achievement. Just on the fact that if 20 years ago, if you were to take the 20 best teams in Europe, or the 20 most profitable teams, or the 20 most lucrative teams, most reputable teams in Europe, Tottenham wouldn't have got near it.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's the interesting argument.
Now, I don't think you can have a Super League without Tottenham in it.
Yeah, but that's a good idea. But that's that's what an argument that people have put to me as well, is that the Super League is a crap idea. We don't like it. But wasn't it great that we were at the table for it?
Yes.
So wasn't it great we're at the table for a crap idea that no one likes, right?
Yes.
Well done. Agreed. Well done, Levy. And so the logic of that I struggle with, to be honest with you.
It's a case of, like, you don't want to be at the tire fire, but you would be. And it is just a case of the stature that ye have grown in the last 20 years. Again, a cheap shot without winning anything.
No, I know.
But you're there. You're still at the tail. Like you said, if there's a breakaway league tomorrow, you're going in for it. If an NFL team sells for $4 billion, the first thing you're going to do is ring an ENIC and go, "Can we have that stadium, please?" He's done a brilliant job building you up to a place, maybe batting above your average, I think might be the best term. But now it's a case of, now you're there. Now it's like, okay, we're one of the best 20 teams in the world. Can we act like it now? Can we start fitting our trophy cabinet the same way everyone else is, please?
Yeah, but I would argue that in the ENIC tenure of 22 years, I'd say there's been probably 3 occasions where we've kind of been there to kick on. So the red nap, when we're third or second and we bring in Sahar and Nelson, and this window is looking like one of them. The Poch couple of years where City were in transition. Chelsea were in transition. You guys were in transition. That was the time to kick on.
Kane's son, Ericsson, and Dele Alli up front, and we were going, shit. How
Yeah,
the fuck are we going to deal with that for 5 years? If they buy defense, we're fucked.
That's right. That's exactly right. But they were kind of, you know, coming to their peak or at their peak, and that's your time where you do a proper deal for Jack Grealish to give competition to them. Because what happened to, frankly, to your Delis and your Ericssons, they played like no one could take their place. And then when you play a high press football like Poch and you don't have squad depth, that's the problems that we had. And now we've got Conte, which I hear what you're saying is like an abusive relationship. But from a footballing sense, Levy and ENIC were desperate to get him in because Nuno, you know, everyone turned us down. So did Conte. So we went back to Conte a second time and we got him in. And if you're going to get your Mourinho in, who, by the way, the goons were sniffing around when they were going to get rid of Emery, which is why Levy acted then to get Mourinho in, right?
Thanks for that.
If you, as I've said on this show before, if you're going to get your Mourinhos in and you're going to get your Contes in, who are here and now trophy managers for 2, possibly 3 years before they all blow up because the newspaper wasn't delivered on time, that's when you back them. You back them now. Don't go and spend 18 million on Jed Spence because he doesn't want him. We've wasted 18 million. Don't get Gareth Bale back for a second time and Joe Rodon.
No, they should have got Gareth Bale back. I'm not having that.
Okay, but you could have got Skriniar back. But we got Joe Rodon and Bale.
Massively overrated. I think he's pretty average, to be honest. But
but if you've got Mourinho,
wants to play,
but hang on. If you've got a manager who's going to play a defensive game, which he does, and he wants that centre back, you give it to him.
You get the centre back.
That's what you give him, the centre back. You don't give him the returning son or Rodon. Okay, so that's where we are, and I think with the Gooners, who obviously I despise hugely, you know, Arteta's, you know, he got rid of. Did he get rid of Ozil? He got rid of Aubameyang. They've written off a truckload of cash.
Paid
them out, and the only person that we've really paid out to get rid of is Mr. Serge Aurier.
And Delhi.
Yeah. Well, that's a sad story, but anyway.
I don't want to make anyone cry, so we won't go into it. Let's talk about team news. Stephen, do you want to talk us how you think Arsenal will line up, first of all?
We've everyone fit apart from Gabriel Jesus, which is great. Like,
there's a concern over Saka, isn't there?
A little bit, but he gets kicked around the place and then he turns up Saturday and he's fine. It's one of those ones where it's like, we're a little bit worried about the abuse he gets, but at the same time, the game he plays invites kicking. You know, like he is the next like tricky little left-footed right winger who just dances past you, and the 6'3" left back just goes, "No, I'm not having any of this." And smack. You know,
he's a great player, but I really think he's a great. He was excellent in the World Cup,
and he's 3 years off his prime. that's a scary thing.
You know, I mean, to be fair, we thought that about Dele Alli, so it can all go wrong.
True,
I hope it does for you.
True, but it's a case of like it looks like it's only like if you were going to pick a team, it would be Ramsdale, Zinchenko left back, Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, the person who we can't name because he's in the middle of a court case
because he's a rapist.
There's that.
You can't say that. Move on.
Allegedly, I'll say it. Allegedly. Although we had Ben Mendy come out today, he's like, "Yeah, I've been cleared," and then the court said, "You've been cleared of most of them. You'll be back here in 3 months. Come back." And then suddenly no news about him at all. Odegaard, player of the month, Odegaard, which was fantastic, and then Martinelli, Saka, and Nketiah up front, who will just basically stand on Eric Dyer's toes all day.
Do Arsenal fans prefer Zinchenko over Tierney this season?
It depends on the game. He's a completely different. We play completely different football with Zinchenko playing. Like if Tierney is playing, he's a left back who runs up and down the left wing, and he can he tries to play this inverted wing back that Zinchenko does, but he can't because pretty much no one can. Zinchenko is a midfielder. You know, he plays midfield for Ukraine. He plays almost a centre attacking midfield for Ukraine. And when we're on the ball, he plays midfield. And that means Xhaka could just Tootle up front and always play like Gundogan does, where he just sits on the penalty yard box and goes, right, where's the ball going to go? Means he doesn't have to run. Martinelli just plays. He doesn't play left back. He doesn't play left wing. He doesn't play left midfield. He plays left. Where he's just him on the left wing and that's it. And Zinchenko would sit in the middle and give an extra option. And suddenly we'll have 3 on the left and your defense will go that way. And then suddenly Saka will be one-on-one with the right back. And that's what we do. Like, it's simple, but it works. And you can't do that without Zinchenko. City are finding that out now. They're suddenly trying to play left back after left back after left back. They're realizing it's not working. So, but you take advantage of that by playing a really quick right winger, and you literally pin him like what you do when you're playing against Liverpool with Trent Alexander-Arnold. You just tell your right winger, or your left winger in this case, stand on the halfway line. Because if you do, he won't come forward. Yeah. And
the perfect game for Sonny to come back into form.
It is. Well, how many games have we said that about Son this season?
Yeah.
Because we're waiting. We're waiting. You know, like, and it's not, like I said, I'm not gonna jinx it, but tick, 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 tick. Is it 1 goal since October? Like, this is not that now, to be fair, having your face broken is a good excuse for not being able to play football very well.
Yeah, but the argument is that he wasn't playing well before he had his face broken as well.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
Albeit he just banged in a hat-trick, hadn't he? And he was starting to get a bit of momentum, and then he got his face broken. But but not that I'm making excuses for him. He's been poor this year. Okay, let's talk Spurs team. That's far more pleasant. I've got a few Conte quotes for you. Team news is going to improve, especially for Decky. He had a training session in the last few days. He's going to be ready to play. So that's bad news for you, Stephen, because we are a far worse team without him. Richie and Rodrigo, apparently they're training and could feature. So they're going to see whether or not they make the bench, I think. And Benton Kerr is the one we miss, really. In my opinion, because he is just class, really. But we shall see. Jack, go on then, pick your Spurs 11 to take on the Goons. What are you saying?
Bentancur is going to be a doubt for this one, so I think we would all probably likely see Bentancur and Højbjerg, but let's say he doesn't make it. I will pick maybe a team that involves that. So I think I'll go Romero, Dyer, and then Longley. I think Romero and Longley are actually crucial for this because Arsenal will press us, and all of our center backs are absolutely terrible on the ball, except for Romero and Longley. So those would be the only 2 that will have any sort of composure.
And you'd pick Dyer in the middle, would you?
I think he's probably the one that seems to be saved for this one. Like, I'd like to probably pick Ben Davies and maybe put Romero or Longley in the middle or something like that. But but I don't think that's going to happen because Dyer was he was sat or even put in like normal civilian clothes for the game against Portsmouth. So that sort of suggests that he's being saved for this one, at least in my eyes.
Saving Dyer for a game, you've got problems.
Not good. No, never good. Left wing back Perisic. I think Hugo is going to probably come in for this one. It's a big one with Hugo because it's sad to say this, but I'm maybe more worried about him than I am even about like Moonhead or Eric Dyer, where it's just because with Hugo, I just think the blunders and the mistakes are happening too often these days. And I feel like, again, like he had a big mistake against Arsenal. Is he going to make up for it by having a worldie? My heart right now tells me he won't, and my mind right now tells me that he won't. I just.
But do you trust?
I don't trust Forster more, but it's another situation we have where it's just, I think Spurs this season, even when we've been in control of games, even when we've had all the momentum, that back line plus Hugo has given up goals that you just can't even fathom or can't even make sense of because we've been in complete control of games and then we've given up goals. And so Hugo's also contributed to that, in my opinion. So I think we will play him, but I'm a little worried about Hugo going into this one.
Let us know in the comments your Spurs 11 for Sunday, and do smash that like button. 70 odd people watching. I don't know how many likes there are, but probably not 70. So do hit the like button. Davo, you're starting 11. Would you do anything different to Jack?
Probably not. No, I agree with him about Hugo. I mean, his mistake at the game at the Emirates, that was the game changer. and I probably want this to be his last season. Definitely want the win backs the same. Doc, Perisic, we need that. I would have Davis, Longley, not Davis. I'd have Davis and not Longley. I would have Dyer.
Can I
I'd
just
have
interrupt
Romero,
1 second?
and then
Can I just interrupt? Would
Yeah.
you not pick Emerson for this game? On the
He got
basis
a red
he's
card in the
are you
last
having a
one.
laugh?
No. On the basis he's a ton more defensive than Doherty, and maybe better able to handle that left hand side of Arsenal's Martinelli out there. He had him in his pocket at last season's derby, didn't he?
Yeah, but in this season's derby at the Emirates, he got stupidly sent off, which also turned the game as well. So I don't want Emerson anywhere near the first team. Sorry.
Doherty, though,
so
is
no,
a
I
secret
wouldn't.
gooner,
I'd have,
though, as well. Man on the
Secret?
inside.
Secret?
Not that secret.
You
Not
made
that
the bastard
secret. Being
delete his
kind to him.
tweets.
So that is,
Being kind to him. Open gooner.
He's
an open
a gooner. Yeah, he's an open gooner. He is. I don't think Bentancur's going to be fit. So I'm going Dyer, Romero, Davis, Doherty, Perisic. I think I'd prefer to have 3 in the midfield, but you won't play that. So I think you're going to have Højbjerg and probably Bissouma, and then he'll go. I mean, if Kulu's fit, then obviously Kulu, Kane, Son, and Hills on the bench. But it doesn't leave us with a huge amount on the bench to change things. I mean, I think we counted Palace away 6 wing backs or / centre backs on the bench.
I think it depends though, because I think Bentancur and Richarlison are in training, so it is possible they make the bench and can potentially give you half an hour. So the options on the bench might not be as critically bad as we think. So I don't want to see Royal anywhere near the first team either. I'm just playing devil's advocate. But I have a hunch you'll see him. If I'm being really honest, I have a hunch you'll see him. I think he will get picked. I wouldn't play him. I'd play Doherty. My love for Doherty. I wouldn't call it love. I'd call it anyone but Emerson Royal at right back. And he's not going to play Jed Spence. In my opinion,
I just think it's because of that bust up. I think there was a supposed bust up with Emerson, and he's not really doesn't have the same relationship him and Conte had. Conte used to love him before, clearly, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
I'd love to know exactly where Emerson spent that £1 million on those leadership quality.
What was the bust up about?
I think he had a bust up with a
coach,
one of his coaches. Yeah, one of the assistant coaches over something.
My 11, Lloris in goal. It's got to be. He's captain and he's due a great game. So I think Hugo in goal for me. You've got to pick your captain again in the derby. Doherty right wing back. Perisic left wing back, because I think he just adds so much value down the left, but does worry me completely that he's going to be going up against Saka. So from that perspective, maybe Sessegnon is a better pick, but he's pretty shit as well. Centre backs, I think you've got to have Longley, he's quality. You've got to have Romero, he's quality. And in the middle, flip a coin really, but Dyer will probably get the nod. I agree. I can see your point, Jack. Move Longley into the centre, Davis on the left, and Romero on the right. But I think the physicality of Dyer at set pieces is a benefit. I think he could quite easily bully the Arsenal forwards. In the middle, depends who's fit. You've got Bissouma in the mix, haven't you? Me, myself, I'd be tempted to change the system and play 3 in midfield, but I don't think he will. So I think you'll probably see Højbjerg, and if Bentancur's not fit, you'll get Bissouma. I would put 3 in midfield, and I think that's a good comment from Daniel. Swamp the midfield. Yep. Don't disagree with that, but I don't think he'll do it. And then up front, you've obviously got Kane, Son, and Kulusevski. Albeit, if Kulusevski is not fit, then you might see a 2 up front. So, I hope we line up with 3 in the midfield, but probably not would be. And
you don't think this game would be too big for Brian Hill-Messi? Not a good chance for him to come in and
I love Brian Hill-Messi. He is to us what Saka is to Arsenal, just a slightly.
What?
The Howard Wolowitz version of Bukayo Saka.
a poor man's, homeless man's dog's version of
Oh, that's harsh. Let's not. Don't wind Jack up.
Oh,
Jack is
that's
on the
harsh.
Hill Messi train.
I would, just the spelling bees version of Bukayo Saka, really, just the primary school version of himself.
Maybe the biggest selection problem Tottenham have is that, like I said, you've got Bentancur, who is probably going to be half fit. Richarlison, who you'd love, but is half fit. Kulusevski, who you'd love to play, who's half fit. And
I
it's
don't
one
think
of those ones
Kulusevski's half fit. I do actually think
or
he's
3/4
he's
fit.
fully fit.
yeah,
He's
But
fully fit.
it's one of those ones where it's like you'd love him if you could risk them because the next game is easy or at least less taxing. You would risk it for this one, but you can't because the next one is City away. And so, like, if you
really anyway, it's no worries.
oh, true,
but
but
Harry Winks in the midfield there.
We wish we could play him every week.
yeah. But you see what I'm saying? Like, there's no rest up in Tottenham's next 4 or 5 games where it's like, well, I can risk playing them now because I can rest them for the next one. You know, like there's no sense of you can't gamble with a team. You almost have to be very, very reactive and go, right, we're going to be conservative. We're going to play 3-4-3. We're going to play 2 center defensive midfields because if I play Kulusevski now and he pulls his hamstring again, I've lost him for another month. If I rush back with Richarlison like I've done twice already, I've lost him for another month. And Tottenham's margin of error is going like this as the season goes on. And it's a case of if this was if this was Leicester at home,
we've had what you haven't had, which is lots of injury issues, to be honest.
Yeah, we've been amazingly lucky. Like, well, Smith Rowe, like we missed Smith Rowe for 3 months, and we're going to miss Jesus for 3 months. You know, those are big
good
players.
anyway. Is Smith Rowe?
He was keeping Martinelli out of the side.
Yeah, but
you know, he wasn't playing bad.
The gaffer loves him though.
Well, but he's right.
I saw that on All or Nothing.
There's a lot of things of All or Nothing now we could easily write off as director's cuts and maybe and gimmicks, but no, it's one of those ones where it's like Arsenal have been lucky, but at the same time they've been playing. Like I said, our squad, like if you look at our bench, it's gonna have Marquinhos, Smith Rowe, it'll be on the bench, and Vieira. Like, there's no striker that's gonna come on and change a game. There's no, you know, like that's why we're gonna about spend 80 million on Mudryk, who, again, YouTube says he's brilliant. Has anyone actually seen him play? No.
I mean, based on the fact
two games against Ajax, that's it.
Based on the fact you've got most of your signings right recently,
yes,
it tends to suggest he is pretty good. But I don't think any of us are experts on him.
No,
so, you know,
but it is.
He's not here, so.
To Dave's point earlier, we're striking while the iron's hot. We're buying. Like, we think we need a striker, and the last time we were in this position, it was 2004, and we went to bought Reyes. And everyone looked at us and goes, what on earth are you doing that for? You've got Bergkamp, Henry, Perez. And it's like, we're like, no. We need bodies. Trust us. When it gets to March and April, we're going to run out of gas. And we nearly did. You know, Wayne Bridge beats us in the quarterfinal of the Champions League, for God's sake. Like, you know, if it wasn't for Bank Holiday Monday, you know, Liverpool turning up with half sick, we might have lost the league as well. They might go and beat. You know, and it's just a case of having that extra body or two carried us through.
Stephen, I've got a question for you, actually. Where's the money coming from?
So investments is a very nice thing. All we spent when we sold the Emirates, we sold all the grounds, right? We sold all the flats, and it looks like half of them were bought by Tottenham fans, which, by the way, thanks very much. They're all kicking in now. So it's all little investments here or there, but we're paying in installments. We're doing the Barcelona way. The one good thing Raul Sanllehi showed us to do is
that didn't end well for Barcelona, to be fair.
No, but we have money, and we are backed by, you know, Kroenke, who has 20 billion of his own money, and his wife, who's got 60. Like, so the next time you go to Asda, you're giving us money.
But have they directly invested?
They have directly invested about 200 million, and they paid off the loan that Arsenal took out from the ECB 15 months ago. Okay. They turned that into, so they have invested about 200 million of their own money. Now, is that a lot? No, but it's a sense of terms that Arsenal have been relying on their own cash fund pretty much for 20 years because Wenger would refuse to go into debt. Like that, that was the thing. The fact that Arsenal went 5 years, you know, finishing fourth in the league with a net spend of 0 is insane in today's economy. And it's the fact that we had no debt going into now helps us walk into a bank and go, can we borrow 300 million quid, please? You know, it's the same reason you're struggling with your, what was it, 175 million you had to borrow off the ECB off the top of my head for the COVID fund, something along those lines. Like it's there's a lot of debt going around, and Arsenal are one of the few clubs in the world who are cash rich. Where it's like, yeah, you need 50 million up front, yeah, no bother, we can do that. We can find the facilities for it. So we are taking
their accounts. To be fair,
yeah, like I said, they lost 60 million last year, but like I said, they are technically debt free. You know, like they own the mortgage on the Emirates, but that's fuck all now, and that's it. So they, like I said, they could. Whereas most other clubs have already used up their credit facilities, Arsenal are now just opening theirs up. So we are tapping into the same well that we maybe should have done 10 years ago, when we started buying the likes of Ozil and Sanchez and etc. Like we should have, we had the facilities to do double that, and we didn't because we had a manager who inherently believed against that sense of financial doping. And now we're just doing what everyone else is doing, where it's like, oh yeah, we'll pay 60 million, and here's 5 of it now. Here's 5 of it now, and the amortization we'll just cancel it off by the time the contract's up in 5 years. That's like it's financing and dirty laundry. Like there's probably there's a Breaking Bad segment joke to be made there, but yeah, it's time the concrete are put their hand in their pocket, and like I said, they did it for Jesus, they did it for Partey, and now it looks like they're doing it for Mudryk. They are providing a facility where it's like, yeah, we need X amount of cash, and the Crunky's going, how much cash do you need? It's about time, frankly. For a club like Arsenal, it's about time. Like it's like I say, and it's probably again the biggest criticism against Levy, where it's like Levy has spent a shit ton of money, but not on like that player that makes you go, he's going to win us the league. Like he's what, like
I don't think anyone thought when you were signing Zinchenko and Jesus you'd be winning the league. Let's be fair.
No, but like you put it on what, but like when you're buying players of intent, like when like the last player Tottenham bought, like I mean, like
Spurs have actually gotten all their big money signings wrong, and that's what it really is that with Tanguy and Dembele they got it wrong, with Sanchez they got it wrong, and then with the Bale money they basically spent entirely wrong, apart from Eriksen. So it's actually the case is that when Spurs
sprinkled a few 25 million plus players,
Spurs are shocking when it comes to spending anything above, it seems like 50 million or 40 million. You would actually argue Romero's the only success story we've had of recent that's been a bit of a Kulusevski, but like I don't even know. Like that's been a brilliant deal for us because Kulusevski we paid like in huge installments, and we know like we've delayed it for a really long time.
He's 45 million all in, I think.
Yeah, but I think with Romero it was more expensive because it was like 60, and we had to pay it like at the end of the season. Whereas
54, I think total.
Yeah. So I just think maybe Paratici is probably the only guy that has been getting maybe more of those bigger money signings for us.
I think that's where you take encouragement with the way that Spurs have been doing business lately, because
but Sanchez was our most expensive ever defender, right? And like that, like, and we
Romero, we can wipe it from the memory banks, right?
Yeah.
We can wipe that. I think Spurs have been unlucky because obviously Kulusevski's been injured most of the season. Richarlison has played 50% of the matches probably. And he's a good player and is a good option. So they've just, again, when we've spent money, it's just not quite worked out, has it? It's been a bit of a shame, really. But there we go. We do move on. Would Papa Sarr get in for North London Derby if we play a 3 in midfield? Maybe a midfield of, I don't know, Bissouma, Skipper Højbjerg and Papa Sarr. He's looked very impressive.
I asked a lot of people on the fan show this caller, and people were going for Papa Sarr today. There wasn't as much, let's say, love for Bissouma. I kind of went for Bissouma because I sort of thought, well, we did sort of bring him in here for a reason. And a lot of people originally thought he would be one of the signings of the season, especially with the value for money and everything. Yeah. But he just hasn't met those expectations. But will he one day? Maybe this is the game that he does so. And I also was being a bit of a dramatic at the time where I kind of thought if we didn't play Bissouma, in this sort of game? Is that like real indications that that's like a failed signing, basically, because we're basically playing, you know, a kid in the case of Papa Matasar over Basuma, and it more just sort of speaks to maybe how little confidence we would have in him if we did play.
He's a bit of a baller,
Matasar.
though, isn't he? So.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing, and you know we love the young, talented spelling bee kids at Spurs. So I'd be happy to play Papa Matasar, but for me, Basuma, we did bring him in for a reason. Maybe this is his time to sort of get some respect back and maybe sort of show why he was the player he was at Brighton.
Yeah, but the problem is he should be in a 3.
Yeah.
Basuma is at his best as an anchor in a 3. And we don't play him there. We play him in a flat 2.
If we then go about that, then it's sort of, who do we then rest? I guess in the forward line, do we rest Sonny? Do we rest Kulusevski? And then that's a tough decision to make in that case. If you're going
depends on Kulusevski's fitness. We've been assured he's 100%, but he's going to be a little bit rusty because he hasn't played. So personally, I don't think you can take Kane or Son out because of their goal threat.
Of course.
So I mean, if you're playing 2 up top, they are a fucking brilliant front 2, aren't they? Despite the fact Son's out of form, and I totally get that. But I think Kulu will probably start, but I would be so tempted to have that extra man in midfield because
I'd only play Sarr in the midfield 3.
Who would you midfield 3 be then? Davo, who would you midfield 3 be if you were playing 3 in midfield?
It's the delay, and he stopped.
I was going to say it's still going.
Yeah, I'm getting delayed.
He's pondering on it.
I'm gonna jump out and then jump back in because I've got really shit network today. I'll come out and come back in. Okay.
No problem.
I think if Kulusevski isn't 100%, I see the logic for the 3-man midfield because we got absolutely overrun there. And the other problem was it felt like with Arsenal last time, they kind of just kept pinning back Højbjerg and Bentancur to the state where, like, when Thomas Partey scored that goal, it was like Bentancur and Højbjerg were almost inside our own box. And it felt like Thomas Partey was just waiting for that sort of just to be set up for him. And he basically hit it right outside of our own box, which just sort of showed how pinned back we were from all the movement and the brilliance of that kind of midfield of Arsenal. So if we are without Kulusevski, I would lean towards the 3-man midfield to be a bit safer. But this is the thing, is like what Stephen brought up earlier was, I mean, that left back situation is that what you do is you put somebody on that left back and make somebody like Zinchenko sweat a bit more, make him maybe have to be a bit more honest. Who's going to do that? It's going to be someone like Kulusevski, who is one of the most dangerous players in the Premier League. And I think with Kulusevski, Collar, I personally think, even though he might be a little rusty, I feel like we've been basically keeping him in like an ice chamber until this kind of game. Like we've been preserving him. I think we've been preserving him.
You've seen him training lots, and he's running around. I'm like, look, there's nothing wrong with him. He's fine.
I think he's going to be salivating at the mouth to play in this sort of game.
Hasn't featured, and I think he's going to be unleashed on Sunday.
So if he's hungry, if he's really hungry to play, you sort of risk maybe playing that 2-man midfield as long as you know Kulusevski is going to be causing Zinchenko or whoever it is a lot of problems down their left. Maybe that's the risk that is worth taking, because we took that risk without Kulusevski last time and we played Richarlison at the right wing and he just wasn't nearly as good as what Kulusevski would be. So maybe this time around, if Kulusevski is available, we go for the same thing and see what he would have done in comparison to what Richarlison actually did. But like I said, if he's not really fully fit, I would lean towards that 3-man midfield. I definitely see that argument.
Do you think it's written in the stars, Stephen, that Harry Kane is going to break Jimmy Greaves' record, scoring 2 goals in the derby and becoming only the 3rd player in Premier League history to score over 200 goals?
Probably.
There is a leading question for you.
I'll just hold my hands up like this here. Let me look at the answer. He's playing probably the best he has in about 2.5 years, but no one else is. And it's like if Tottenham are going to play this 3 midfield that you're talking about, because Kulusevski is going to be fit, my one question would be, who's going to give him the ball? And it's Tottenham's biggest problem, where if you want to play 3-4-1-2, you're almost set up perfectly with it as Kane is the number 10. because he's as his game ages, like you can just see what he's going to be as a number 10 in 3 years. He's going to be glorious.
Drop
at it.
deeper.
Yeah, and it's like, well, can you start doing that now? But can you afford that when you still need him as a number 9? Like, if you could replicate him and have Harry Kane getting on the end of Harry Kane's through balls.
I would say we've bought Harry Kane's number 9 replacement, which is Richarlison.
Yeah,
you look at what he does for Brazil; he's phenomenal.
He's more of a true number 9 with how he operates.
He is,
with the way he presses,
and I do think we have bought him ultimately. You know, Harry Kane's got 18 months left on his contract. So I think Richarlison's a little bit of an insurance policy because he can play left, which he never does because that's Son's place.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, he is an out and out number 9. You watch him from Brazil; he's phenomenal. And I think if you've got Kulu providing for him, absolutely, you know, he can carry the Spurs into the future. Yeah. But I do think that you know, obviously, I hope Kane signs a new deal. I don't see it, to be honest.
Well, you got to do the Henry deal with him, right? Like Hugo Lloris is club captain, right? Like technically, I think I'd assume you're selling Lloris, or you're going to let him go at the end of the summer. Right?
I would imagine he'll go.
Bring him round the back and then tell the kids that he's run away and to ignore the gunshot. You know, but what you do is you do what Arsenal did with Henry when they were trying to sell season tickets for the first year in the Emirates. Here, mate, have double your wages for the first year. Here's the captaincy. We'll promise you the moon, and if we don't get in the Champions League next year, you can turn off. We'll sell you to whoever you want.
But it's not even Champions League that attracts Kane anymore.
No, but
or at least not winning.
Yeah, at least give us 18 months to build a team around you, but on one condition: we're playing you at 10. Like, and when you have this midfield three that you're talking about, Kane is the 10. Kane is the third midfielder, and then you have your two your wing backs that can bomb up left and right because you've got number 10 that's always an outlet, and then you've got two quick lads up front. You can turn Son. Okay, maybe he's lost a yard of pace, but he's still that.
I don't think he has. I don't think he has lost a yard of pace. He really hasn't.
Well, try and protect whatever he has left in his prime by letting him play in the box more. You know, play him as an out-and-out striker a lot more, with Kane giving him passes instead of the other way around. Or you switch and swap. You know, you let them two, play either or. And like I said, you have Richarlison then plays your number 9. Like figure out a way of playing that suits Kane's way of playing, because this system doesn't suit the way Kane plays. You know, 7 at the back, Kane up top with long balls up to him. Like,
yeah, but he's having a pretty good season from a goal scoring point of view.
He could have a brilliant season anywhere, though. That's the thing. Like, you've got him now. Use him the way he should be used. Don't use him the way the manager wants just to play his own way. You know, fit him in and then go from there. It's, it just seems you're doing it the wrong way around. You're building a team, then telling Harry Kane to play there, where it should be, right, Kane, where are you playing? I'm playing here. Right. And then build around him.
I see that argument, and I think for the future we probably have to look at it that sort of way. But at the same time, Antonio Conte has gotten kind of like Jose Mourinho, has sort of gotten the best out of his number 9s or his strikers, and has operated very well with these sort of world-class strikers. And I think they seem to have. He almost seems to protect his strikers, almost seems to tousle their hair and smile about them and blush about them when he talks about his strikers. And so I sort of feel like he would struggle to maybe move Harry Kane to a different position. I think.
But the profile of a Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte number 9 is Didier Drogba,
big brute,
Diego Costa, Romelu Lukaku. These are lads that stand on the penalty spot and get the ball, turn and shoot. That is not Harry Kane. Harry Kane. The reason
he's been extraordinarily effective for both managers, though. Where under Jose, he had one of the best seasons of his whole career, maybe if not the best season of his whole career. Yeah, and then under Conte last season, he turned his season around from being absolutely dreadful, and then all of a sudden, he's able to turn his season.
But how much? My point with how much is that on Conte, and how much that is on just Kane being that bloody good? You know,
I
like
think
I
it's,
think it just
I
comes
think-
from Kane having a brilliant manager. Like he gets motivated by having a good manager. I think that's what it
Yeah.
was. That's what he was waiting for. But I see the point
Yeah.
that he needs to move to a number 10. It just feels like maybe with what we have this season, it's probably hard to make that change this season, maybe a next season or a season afterwards. I think we could probably consider that. But that's what maybe Kulusevski does. Kulusevski distracts, I think, the opposition defense from focusing entirely on Kane and Son. Spurs' biggest problem in years before was everybody knew the two people that were going to score were going to be Kane and Son assisting each other in some sort of combination. It was like if you stopped them finding each other, then you basically stopped Spurs. Where now with Kulusevski, he sort of adds that extra threat that wasn't ever there before. And that's why I think you can get away with probably playing Kane still as number 9, because someone like Kulusevski is able to be that distraction.
Yeah, but the irony is that now that, you know, as you said, the last 2 or 3 years, it's stopped Kane and Son, stopped Tottenham, because you had Stevie B, Moore, or Gareth Bale, and none of them were effective. But now we've got Kulusevski, which you saw in the second half of last season, where Son had a great season, Kane was much better, and Kulusevski, it worked really well. This season, Son's been bang off form. Kulusevski's hardly been available. He's got, for someone so young, he's really got a bit of a dodgy injury record. So in terms of where I'd like to see this go, it is a 3-5-2 with potentially Kulusevski playing behind the front two, and Kane and Richarlison looks much better in the centre than he does on either. And you saw that in the World Cup. And then you have Son sat on the bench or rotating it through, and that's how I would do it. But he's not going to do that, I don't think. And as I said, you know, with Kane, I don't think he will sign a new. If I was him, I wouldn't sign a new contract, and I would just, you know, he's now in a much better negotiation position than the 2 summers ago with the whole Man City thing, because he had 3 years left on his deal. This summer he'll have a year left, and I think it's linked with Conte, because if Conte signs, say, a 2-year extension, I think you might say Kane will go, all right, well, I'll give you the same as Conte, or he might just go all together, because what Kane's got to weigh up now is that he's going to get Greaves' record, that's a certain. And the question is whether he wants a trophy versus staying in the Premier League and beating Shearer. Because, you know, Madrid, Benzema can't go on forever. I mean, he's got interest from Germany. I don't think he'll really want to go to Germany. So your 2 options, I think, for Kane are Real Madrid and Manchester United. But Manchester United is still going to have a bit of a way to go to get him a trophy at this stage in his career. But him like Conte, they hold all the cards now.
Yeah, he's in a far better negotiating position, like you said. Like when he comes out 2 years ago, I think I fancy a move, and everyone laughed. They're like, Danny Levy is not going to sell Harry Kane at 28 for 50 million, 60 million with 3 years left in his contract. And he's like, well, he might go to Man City, he might go to Real Madrid. Real Madrid, you know, they've got Benzema. He's there for at least another year. He's not playing for France anymore, and they've just bought Vinicius Junior's replacement in Endrick. They might move him in the centre and just do what Liverpool do, play 3 up front. Bayern are the big ones. You know, like Bayern are missing a striker badly this year. You know, they've got so many, and they want basically someone to.
He won't go abroad. He won't go abroad.
Well, then his choice is: do I want to be Alan Shearer 2.0? Is that enough for me? You know, is winning
boring on Match of the Day?
Well, is winning 1 with Tottenham more worth it to him than winning maybe 2-3 abroad or 2 or 3 with anyone else? That's the question he asked himself. That, you know, Shearer could have went anywhere during his place in Newcastle, but he wasn't, because he's a Geordie, and he knew if he played there long enough, he could get a statue outside the Gala Gate, and that's exactly where it is. Is that what Kane wants? And people might say, "Oh, it's a lack of, you know, a lack of desire or a lack." It's not. Like, if he wants to be Jimmy Greaves, if he wants to be Alan Shearer, if he wants a statue outside Tottenham Stadium,
put statues out. That's a sore point.
Well, he should. If he puts it in his, I want 5 years, and if I beat the club record, I get a statue. I think he might agree to that. But that's his ambition. And if it is, then you should be going with him in a contract right now. And I said, really? You want to be a Spurs legend? We'll give you what you want.
I think it's more. I think that actually might be the case, that Kane would do whatever it takes to stay at Spurs. I think he's very reluctant to leave Spurs. But the problem is that where he sort of sees it is that I think he does want to win a trophy, and he would do whatever it takes for that trophy to be with Spurs. And so he's not eager to maybe get to those contract negotiations because he would rather continue to force maybe Levy to try to invest or bring in quality managers, etc., to keep him around. And I think that's what it is. I don't think Kane almost isn't going to show his cards, basically, if that makes sense.
I just want to say something. There's a lad in the chat, King Hoddle. Fair play. You're Tottenham man. I can see by the way you're talking. A generational iconic world-class total footballer who isn't respected by our rivals because they wish he played for us instead of us. You realise Arsenal would win the league by 15 points if Kane was playing up front this year. Easy, right? I would drink the dirty bathwater of the man who got me his number if Kane would fucking play for us this year. Are you mad? Instant. If Kane played for Arsenal this year, we'd win the league. I would guarantee that. Guaranteed. Absolute no-brainer. You know,
I can still see, by the way, I can still see this. I can still see him going to City because I think Madrid, various other teams will sniff around Haaland.
Not with Haaland there.
No, but I think Haaland will go. I don't think he'll be quite short term. I think Real Madrid will get him. Real Madrid is who he wants, ultimately.
Yeah.
So I can quite easily see Haaland doing another 18 months, 2 years maybe. But by which point Kate will be what, 30, 31, 32? He'll still be in his prime. Because he's never had any pace.
Oh no, Kane, that'd be the perfect move for him to Madrid. Not maybe a problem, but like if he wants to ring someone to go, well, what's it like to play for Real Madrid? Gareth Bale will just say, yeah, well, there's this and there's that. They will love you 1 minute and they will hate you the next, and as soon as you retire, they will tell you you're the best player to ever play. It would be a tricky one. But yeah, if he gets the chance to go to Madrid, the longer Tottenham stays in this position where it's one step away from being title contenders, it'll be on his mind to go.
It's not that far away to my mind, Stephen. A lot of people in the chat will say you're mad, you're a Levy lover, and all the rest of it. That's fine. I can live with all of that. I genuinely think we're a right wing back, a proper left wing back, which I think we've already signed, by the way. I think Ndoggy is going to rip it up next season. Yes. And a really good attacking midfielder away from having an 11. I mean, Hugo's replacement's going to come anyway. To me, if he's a similar standard to Hugo, that's okay. But with better distribution, hopefully. Yeah. I think we're like 3 players away. And this is the frustration for me. This is why I would happily change the chairman for someone with a bit of ambition in the transfer market, or happily accept investment from Qatar, which is another conversation altogether. But I do think that we are close. It's just so frustrating. I mean, we are the nearly men of football, aren't we? We nearly won the Champions League. We nearly won the Premier League. We've nearly won the FA Cup and the League Cup. How many times in the last 20 years? We are the nearly people. So for me, I would absolutely love it if we got that extra investment. ENIC don't have to leave. They just have to manage the transfer side of the business properly. And I think Paratici is the right person to do that. But we've
made huge strides since we've had Paratici, in fact.
We have, but it's not quick enough for people.
It's not good enough.
When people see the rivals down the road at the top, they're like, well, why didn't you sign a right back? Why did you sign a player the manager didn't want? Why didn't you invest in an attacking option in the summer window when you could have done, when you had all that time to identify, if it was Malinowski or whoever it was, just get it done. Just get it done. And why are you quibbling about paying an extra 10 million for Pedro Porro? If he's the player that Conte wants, if he's the right back that's going to make the difference, just fucking get it done.
But we love a good smoke screen. We love a good smoke screen signing.
Yeah, I don't think he's the actual target, by the way. I agree.
But I hope it's not the actual target, because he's bloody brilliant. As a right wing back, he is electric for Sporting. Absolutely electric. But like I said, it's like Phil Ambrose says, it's about buying the right players. We said they're the right players 15 months after they played well, and we've bought, I think we all would like João Felix. Yet no one could have predicted that 60 minutes into his debut, he'd go, knee-high, studs up challenge at Fulham.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't play for a month. No one can predict that. Like that's why we love this sport so much, because we can analyze and go over decisions left, right, and center. And then, like I said, someone like João Felix, someone as bloody good as João Felix goes to Chelsea on an £11 million loan with no prospect of staying, and Chelsea might get 10 games out. As much as we love football, we love it even more because we can't predict what the hell is going to happen. 2 years ago when you buy, we were talking about how Tottenham bought progressing midfielders, and then they go and buy Lo Celso and Ndombele. We're like, well, shit, they just bought the two best ball progressing young midfielders in Europe. We're all fucked, and neither of them work.
And the ballet, by the way, ripping it up in Napoli.
No, he's really not though. Well, we need to cool it down.
He's doing a job for them. Now again with the Georgian Messi playing up front, and Ocean Man playing with 39 pace and out of 10. But again, Napoli have bought players for a system. It's like I said, you would like to see Conte say, right, okay, I'm staying. 1, this is what I want to build. 2. Like what Arteta did at the start of year 3, where he said, to hell with this low block, to hell with this 3 back, I'm playing 4-2-3-1.
The difference is Conte is a walking ego.
Yes.
And Arteta was a coach who wanted to be a manager.
Yes.
And needed the job.
Yes.
So,
when he wanted the Arsenal job in particular. That was the one. I don't think Pep was letting him go for anyone else, frankly.
Regardless, I mean, they're just parallels apart.
Yeah. But you need that from Conte to come out. I think to be able to go forward.
I don't think
that's the problem.
It's Conte. I don't think it is. You look at his track record at clubs; it's not. But Spurs need to buy right now. So there we go. Right, Derby predictions. I know Jack's got to head off soon, and Dave's internet is flaky, so let's get the predictions in. Steve, what are you saying?
A good 1-1 draw, good honest 1-1 draw where both teams play well. I think it'd be a good game. I actually think it'd be a really good game, just because we're going to try and press the absolute shit out of you, and you're going to sit there and take it. And the crowd's going to go and then you're going to score in a counter attack. And it'll be the same pattern as the first game last year, except I think we have this year. I do think we have the balls to get equaliser.
Do you think there'll be a red card?
No. I think both teams are going to be exceptionally well behaved. This is going to be, hello, Mr. Referee, how are you, sir? Would you like your car polished on the way home, please? I think it's going to be, there's going to be. Especially with the way that both managers are talking, with like I said, Conte coming out and saying he's got exceptional respect for referees, and there shouldn't be any hate for it, and Arteta saying his players are in a good frame of character. I think there's going to be people are going to be looking for it, which is why players are going to go out of their way not to do it. If you know what I mean, there's going to be an overreaction, an over-exaggeration to where it's like, oh, sorry, boss. Oh, am I 10 yards back, boss? Oh, my bad. Oh no, would you like to put? It's going to be this and that. And maybe, Jack will get booked for that because, he gets booked for anything. But I just think it'd be a good game if Tottenham score first. If Arsenal score first and you don't come out and attack, then the crowd might turn a little bit. Just because, again, as Caller said, there isn't so much, it's not like the crowd are waiting to protest, but just the fact that it's us and we're ahead of ye, and you're waiting to build, and it's the sense of it. It just might be a perfect storm of, there might be a few more boos than you might anticipate.
Oh no, I think we anticipate a lot of boos if we go behind. And definitely a lot of Conte out. Not Conte out, Levy out. It's pretty toxic in the fan base at the moment. Dave, what are you saying? What's your score prediction? If you're with me,
his delay.
Am I delaying again?
Yeah.
Score prediction, Dave. Oh, come on. Let's give us a score prediction.
I think I'm with Cameron. I think it will be a Desmond 2-2. I think it'll be 2-2. I think, and to Stephen's point, I really do think, and my perception of watching on the telly miles away, is that I really think the stadium atmosphere at the moment it really does turn just slightly. If something But go 1-0 down, the toxicity is really there at the moment. You know, if we spank them, you know, if we beat them 3-3, 1-3-0, which I don't think will happen, then obviously everyone's happy again. But what the difference between last year and this year is that we had Son who was on fire, and Son is not on fire this year. I think it'll be 2-2.
Okay. I think we'd take that right now. Jack,
I've frozen the game, haven't I?
Your view? No, you're all right. I can see you, Dave. Jack, your view?
Still kind of nervous ahead of this one. This is basically the best Arsenal side that I've probably seen in my sort of watching of Spurs and in football in general. So
how old are you?
I'm 25, but I've only been supporting for like 12 years. I've only been supporting.
Long paper round, Jack.
Oh, God.
Still plenty more experiences, still plenty more North London derbies to go, let's say. But yeah, this is maybe one of the best Arsenal sides that I've come up against or seen in some time. So it's more nerve-wracking or this game. And I agree with Stephen. It's going to be a big tactical battle, maybe more so as well than it has been in other ones. And I see it going 2-1, but I could see it being a Desmond or something like that as well. My big issue is I feel like Arsenal just start games really quickly, and they start games really well. They like to score early. We're the team that likes to start games slow, start games poor, and then kind of be the second half team. So I'm a little worried about that we're that second half team, and we don't usually start first halves very well, whereas Arsenal, I think, are the complete opposite. But I'll go 2-1 caller. I would say Harry Kane maybe grabs the brace and maybe a VAR penalty that goes our way. That would be fun. And also red card. There has to be a red card in this one. There's been a red card in nearly all of them.
There's been one in the last two at least.
Maybe it goes to Arteta. Perhaps he throws his Legos out the pram at the end of the game or something. Gets a bit of a,
takes his hair off and launches it.
Yeah, just
he had that bust up with Jurgen Klopp. Maybe he does something like that to Conte. Gets the red card shown out the stadium.
I tell you what, who'd win in a fight between Conte and Arteta? Go on.
I would say Conte just because out of the thing that I don't think Arteta would fight him. Because Conte gives you that example, it just gives you that feeling that if you beat him, 3 of his brothers will be outside your front door the following morning.
Whack you.
Yes. And he said, I am not messing with La Familia at all. Yeah. I am removing myself from this fight. You two lumps.
You can really see the pit bull in him, though, like when Thomas Tuchel did the pull of the arm, like on him, because
he just turned around, almost out disdain. He said, "What the fuck?"
He immediately got on his tippy toes. Like Thomas Tuchel looks like
good as a runners.
He's like 6'3", Thomas Tuchel, and he like immediately got on his tippy toes and was up in his face, and so. Yeah, he's fearless, I would say. In fact, I would encourage a bit of shithousery from Antonio Conte towards Mikel Arteta, because I think he probably is likely to maybe get a little, like I said, he could get a little rattled by it. Maybe Mikel Arteta more so than Conte would.
I said, you wouldn't want to spill Conte's pint.
Or step on his trainers.
On his, his Armani loafers.
Very much. Sorry, my bad, sir. My bad. Sorry.
I do think Arteta is a bit of a guy who gives it loads.
Yes,
and I think if you started, it'd crawl up his own arse rapidly.
Mr. Hold Me Back. He'd be like, you be...
just call me back. Yeah.
I'll fucking get him. I'll get him. Behind you. I was going to behind you. Yeah.
Oh, special shout out to Stevie, who's joining from Australia as well. Did you know Stevie is meeting Davo with the crap internet? He's meeting him on his last day of his Australia tour. He's also meeting the founder of the Cheese Room, Mr. Aaron Jolly, while he's out there.
Wow.
And rumor has it, there's a famous clip on our YouTube channel of when we won in the Champions League semi-final. Aaron jumped into the Sydney Harbour. That's what he said. Where there's sharks and all sorts of shit to celebrate. Rumor has it, Diver the Fiver may go into the Sydney Harbour when he meets Aaron, but only if there's lobster in there. He does
he's doing a cheese room tour.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I think we will wrap there. We've got 80 people watching. Please do smash that like button before you go. We've loved having you on board. Come back on Monday when we'll be reviewing a great victory. I'm predicting a 3-1 victory, by the way, just to be really clear. We're going to beat the Scum 3-1, and it's going to be absolutely glorious. Kane is going to break Jimmy Greaves' record.
Come on.
We're going to shatter Arsenal's title chances by following up.
And then reignite them on Thursday by beating
by
City.
losing to City. And you know, we are going to do it. You've got to believe a little bit. We've got a great starting 11. We've got a great manager. There's absolutely no reason why we can't do it. So come on, you Spurs, believe, and follow us on all the socials. Check out the podcast. We've got a great show coming out, both on YouTube. It's already out on the pod. We're going to release it on YouTube as well. Show with the Trust. So it's called Trust Issues. The Trust talk to us about ENIC in, ENIC out, shake it all about. What they do, loads of great content hosted by Brendan. Really good show. So do catch that on whatever flavor you want to listen to us on, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or indeed on the Tube of You. I've been the caller. Jack, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Good to fill in, like I said, for my more Irish and more confident.
Mate,
Spurs
you are
counterpart.
always welcome on this show. We love you. And
Love it.
Stephen, as far as Gooners go, you're all right, mate.
I'll take that. No, like I say, it's always a pleasure to come on a show, and like I said, it's football. Like I said, you know, it's not about Tottenham, Arsenal, and any hate or shit like that. Look, we hate
there's
us,
generally no one frothing at the mouth on this show normally.
no,
Maybe Steve Diver if lobster's on the menu tonight.
Yeah,
That's about the only time. Yeah.
You never know. But no, thanks so much. And yeah, like I say, if you need to put up with any of my shenanigans, at Bradley08 on Twitter. We do bits on YouTube online, and I'm 40 on Thursday. So if anyone wants to see a lad having a midlife crisis on Thursday, yeah, this Thursday coming, I'm 40.
The 20th,
the 19th.
No, Thursday. Oh, Friday's the 20th. Yeah, no, I'm 41 on Friday, the 20th.
Wow, our fathers were busy that day.
That's it. Yeah. And until next time, come on, you Spurs. COYS, COYS, COYS!
Come on, you Spurs.
On Arsenal!